We are live in five, four, three, two, one. Boom. Whew. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Sorry we are a couple minutes late, but we had some stuff to take care of in the real world. But thank you guys for sticking around. As always, this is the Average J's podcast, where we remind you of the pop culture news you might have forgot about this week. I'm Jay Justin Ruiz, and we have a bunch of stuff to get through. So we're just going to go ahead and hit the ground running today. Jay, kick us off. Oh, no one can hear Jay, so hold on. That's my fault.
Oop.
We're going to do this all one more time because we're not recording either.
Ah,
The joy of joining us live.
dang it.
I'm happy I caught all that now. Okay.
Yeah,
Do the
flip it on
rigmarole
over.
one more time.
Flip it and reverse it.
There we go. Now we are live. Thank you all for bearing with us. For all you audio listeners, we are laughing just a little bit because we went through the whole opening rigmarole without being recorded. So we're going to go through it one more time. This is the Average J's podcast where we remind you the pop culture news you might have forgot about this past week. As always, I'm Jay Justin Ruiz.
And I'm Jay, Jeremy Francois.
Thank you guys for bearing with us through all of that. As we did it before, um, Jay, please take it away since we have a number of things to get to.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention what we wanted to bring up the Maui wildfires that's been happening for the last couple days. It's been last couple of days, right? I want to say
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
weekend. It's been like under a week, if anything. Yeah, the whole point of our show is to just like kind of forget about the real world, but for something like this, it's very tragic, with these wildfires. Minimum, I want to say about 100 people have died. I think they're still like counting on that. Well, not counting on it, but like counting the toll,
the death toll.
the death toll. So, yeah, we just want to mention it, and after our recording, when we post it, we want to put a donation link if you have something to give. I know a lot of bigger platforms have that, but if you swing by on here, definitely donate. We'll have that under the link when we can. Thoughts and prayers, do what you can to uh, help. And that doesn't just mean money and supplies, but remember, vote for whoever you want to vote to help reduce our warming of our planet, which is already there, but uh, vote. So yeah, I just want to keep it at that. And also, I kind of fall in line with what Jason Momoa said. Like, don't just go for, like, if you have plans, if you have the opportunity to refund, I know it's a hard thing to do, but don't go flying down there because it's a trip. Because I honestly, out of respect, you shouldn't be just going out down there to just do your gallivanting in this uh, what you would call a paradise, but right now they're wounded.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, like Jay said, we'll have something in the description on Spotify and I'm sure on YouTube when we go live where you can go ahead and donate. But yeah, thoughts and prayers out there. Spread the word, and like Jay said, also always vote in elections to help cut down on emissions, and also for leaders that we could depend on in crises like this.
Oh, and so yeah, let's smooth on out of there. On a little lighter news, I kind of want to bring this up because this affects many people that are getting high degrees, PhDs, masters, and stuff like that, only to hear in the news that UPS drivers will be making $170,000 uh, when it comes to a year annually. What's the word I was looking at? The word it was escaping me. Like, oh, salary.
salary,
That's the word I was
salary,
thinking.
yeah.
Yes, they'll be making that much money, and I've been seeing people post saying, "Hey, I want to get me a UPS driver." I thought it was just like a trend, like I
Yeah.
want to marry a, and then I was like, "Oh, this is why." Um,
I mean,
hey,
I'll drive a truck for 170K because I don't make that
I'll become Doug Heffernan real fast, and
real quick.
I'll be singing the same King of Queens theme song I've been hearing since I was a kid. Um,
I'll wear the brown shorts. I'll do it.
Facts. But it is kind of, I don't want to say it's a direct slap in the face from UPS, but the universe slapping people in the face that went to college saying you're stupid for going to school and not getting the job that you wanted. But I laugh at it because it's kind of like, I don't want to say karma. It's kind of like one of those universal words. But I think this is good because the story here where I'm pulling from Insider, Business Insider, there was a strike that was gonna happen. So this is gonna be
Mm,
a lesson. This is gonna be a lesson for everyone. There
yeah,
was a strike that was gonna happen, but Teamsters, the union that unionized all this, was able to get this deal. So the strike didn't happen because if it did, that would have affected the economy and it would have affected your package. Your Amazon packages. That would have just came to a screeching halt for the United States. We would have been ransacking the world. It would have been do the right thing, but on a country level, just smashing everything,
well, I mean, yeah, if
stealing
like
stuff from Walmart.
because what you call like they control like a lot of priority mail and stuff like that. Like they do a lot, and also in terms of transportation, so they do a lot of like when it comes to shipping, like cargo shipping and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we would have been. I think it's
The,
one of those things that they probably legitimately could not go on a strike because like the government or the economic powers that be might not allow that to happen. Like they'd be like, all right, what are they asking for? All right, give it to them. Like
well, yeah, I don't know how. I haven't looked too deep into it, but because UPS is not it's not government. The
no,
post the UPSPS is.
yeah,
So I'm like, but if it would affect the economy, your economy, yes, they would be like, no,
that's what I'm saying.
give them the money now. But there are other news where we keep giving money to Ukraine, but that's a different story. I'm not going to get into all that. Yeah, the lesson here is all big companies, and I won't name them, but all big companies, the big ones out there. Like if you look at the stock market, Google, Amazon, uh, you can learn from this. Hollywood, you can learn from this because it can be done, and it can be done. So get your newspapers, read it, find out how much money you can give to your people, and yeah,
Yeah, it
give your money.
clearly strikes are a thing because they make action happen. In this case, the threat of a strike made whatever
The
negotiations.
threat of a strike.
Yeah, it made whatever negotiations take that next step. Um, so yeah, like it's a thing. Like you know, take that as like a lesson in stride and be like, all right, let's avoid a problem by coming to an agreement. Cough cough Hollywood, cough cough. ATM, ATPMP, whatever. All those
Yes,
producers.
all those letters. Yeah,
Yep, all them. Figure it out.
figure it out. But yeah, and then look, uh, I'm gonna just. I don't want to go through this list because it's a long list. It's a lot of steps. So I'm gonna step one. Oh, also, just to say too, after the news came out I want to say it was either Link, no, it wasn't LinkedIn, it was Indeed. 50%, uh, 50, it went up 50% in applications
Oh, like the number of
to get the job.
applications went up.
Yeah, just went up 50%. Yes.
Wow.
Okay, so step one. This is all within step one. Being able to lift 70 pounds. I got that. Got that. I could do it. Possession of a driver's license. Got it. Successful completion of the U.S. Department of Transportation physical exam. I definitely got that. Come on. Like if I can do, I've like trained to become a firefighter. So if I can train for that, I can train for this. Easy. Uh, the legal ability to work in the U.S. Come on, born and raised, New York, baby, and compliance with the U.S. UPS appearance guide. Like we said, we'll wear the brown shorts. Boom. That's step one. If you can't get past step one, you got to figure yourself out. It doesn't say you need a master's. It does. I think at minimum you need a high school degree. I'm
Probably.
pretty sure it that.
I feel
But
like most jobs you need a.
if if you were born in the U.S., you have to have a
Well,
high
yeah,
school
there's
degree.
that too. Like you need to, like it's the law.
But yeah.
Well, I mean,
So
I
again,
guess you don't have to graduate, but you have to attend school.
yeah, like just going off fictional stories. Doug graduated high school. He just didn't go to college.
Yeah.
So there we go. But yeah, I pulled this from Insider. If you want to get more on that, there all the steps are there. Definitely check it out if you're trying to be a UPS driver. And look, I know I'll say this: you're making more than me.
Hell,
So
yeah, you're making more than me too. If you trying to be a UPS driver making close to 200K, I mean, all you gotta do is lift 70 pounds. That's pretty decent. If you have a kid, most likely they're 70 pounds, depending on how old they are, I guess. Um,
yeah, yeah,
you gotta lift 70 pounds, then you gotta pass a physical test. They're not gonna be having you do pull ups, so I'm sure most people could pass that physical test.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Unless there's some sort of like Avengers level threat and you have to pick yourself up and deliver that package, then crank it
yeah,
out.
unless that happens, I don't think that's in the tests, but yeah, check it out. I mean, I might. Who knows?
Next time you see us, we might be truck drivers. So.
Um, but moving on into the next category here, we're gonna start going through our TV and movie news. First one up is some newness that we got. Jay, take it away.
Uh, so for those who have, I remember speaking about this a long time ago. I'm pretty sure I spoke about it on the show. So the book I've been reading called Kaiju Number Eight. I'm one of those hipster anime guys, but I don't gatekeep, so I'll tell you that. So Kaiju Number Eight trailer dropped. I remember when I was hyped when they announced or they greenlit making the anime, and now it's finally here. And I'll just remind you for those who are listening for the first time, Kaiju Number Eight is about it takes place in Japan. It's a world where, as you kind of get from the title, there's a bunch of kaiju's that attack um, the countries, but the focus is in Japan. So let's just say that. So kaiju's are attacking Japan. It's been happening for a long period, for a long time, like even like the Edo period, which is wild. Um, and basically, the focus here, which is new when it comes to like shonen and stuff, it focuses on the main character who's like old, quote unquote. He's like in his 30s, so that's considered old for because shonen. Sorry if you hear my dog toss a little hairball there. You okay there? It's the producer. She's just watching. Okay. So basically, the main character he couldn't pass the test to become like an agent. I forget what the groups of the organization's called, but he couldn't become an agent to fight these kaiju's. So you know, life sucked for him. So he just became the garbage man of the cleanup crew. He became the cleanup crew for these kaiju intestines that blow up and fall on the street. So he has to come clean it up. So it's kind of like what's the group that appears after like the Avengers show up? I forget what they were called. They made a like short on it for MCU, but
Oh,
they exist in the comics as well.
yeah. I think it's called the Cleanup Crew,
Sounds about right.
something like that.
So so basically, uh he lives his day-to-day life cleaning up, and then it supposedly really stinks because look, these are large bodies of kaijus. So basically he cleans it up one day. Oh, thank you, Gavinism. Damage control. Thank
Damage
you. It
control.
was like
That's what it is.
I knew it was something control.
That's what it is. Yep.
So uh yeah, I'm forgetting his name right now. It's like blanking me. But in the main character is somehow he's like cleaning up one day, and this small because all kaijus come in different sizes, so there are different types of kaijus. They can be like really small, and they range to like Godzilla sized kaijus. Um, one small kaiju went into his mouth, like some almost like a chest burster kind of thing, but into his face. Oh, not chest burster, face hugger. But went into his mouth, passed out, woke up one day, and he was in the hospital. They're like, "Yo, he passed out." Blah blah blah. He finds out that he can transform into a kaiju, so he's a humanoid kaiju. So he is kaiju number 8, but no one knows that yet. Um, and I think he would be considered the strongest kaiju. So I think there was a kaiju number one, which has been to use they use their body parts to make weapons. So like there are numbered kaijus that already been turned into weapons, and main character kaiju number 8 is kaiju number, and then there's like the main villain where I'm up to right now in the manga is kaiju number 9. Um, so yeah, it's really dope. I remember when I kept seeing the book cover. The book covers is dope. Like the first cover for the first volume is like red, and it has like his silhouette. If you've seen it, Justin, around like the interwebs, it
Yeah.
really looks cool. And I see it on my Shonen app, and then I'm like, you know what? Let me look at it real quick. And then one day I read it. Next thing I knew, I caught up, and I was like, wow, I haven't read something this fast in a while that got me really excited for this. But the good thing is I have self control where I let it stack for a bit. So I'm like 10 or 15 chapters behind from being up to date. So whenever I can, sometimes like when I flew over to your place a couple weeks ago, I was reading on the plane. It's really good for those who want to read it. Definitely read it. For those who want to just wait and watch the anime, it's gonna be like, hey, have you checked Kaiju number 8 yet? Like the people that don't know that I read manga, they like, have you seen Kaiju number 8? I'm like, yeah, bro, been there, done that. It's really good. What do you what have you heard about it?
I've honestly like outside of this little conversation, I've seen some stuff about the manga, but I actually have not heard about anything else besides that.
Okay.
So I'm like brand spanking new to this info. I mean, it sounds dope and it's one that like has me interested in it already. Has
Yeah.
my interest already? Whatever. I like it. And I'm most likely going to interact with it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I hope you do one day. I'm sure you'll do it in anime form because
Yeah.
I don't think you have. It's not that hard to find manga online, but it's up to you.
Yeah. I typically don't read manga like at all since like high school, but once in a
What's your fault?
while,
It's okay.
once in a while
Even
I'll
with
figure
pictures.
it out. Yeah, even with pictures. But no, I just like the premise of it. I enjoy the whole like Attack on Titan meets like Godzilla kind of deal, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know. So it
The
just
main
seemed
character is 32 years old. His name is Kafka Hebino.
yeah, and him
So
like, shonen's typically what high school ages, like once in a while
like main characters,
college.
yeah.
Yeah.
Usually
So
main
like
characters are like high school, college ages, but this one is like he's a 32 and he's considered old,
yeah,
which is
but it's cool. I mean, it's right up there with like us. I feel like it's a very relatable, like I guess age wise, for like our generation of millennials. Like he's 32. He's a year older than you, a year and a half older than me. Like
yeah.
I'm
It's
sure
kind
there's a
of
lot
like
of
for
stuff
me,
that we can like relate
yeah,
to.
yeah, and you said it too, relating. I'm sure if people are around our age, if they read this, they would relate to this because I'll just give you a snippet. I just pulled up the his character bio, but it kind of like encompasses the entire plot. So a 32-year-old man with dream of joining the Defense Force, which is the organization, to fight alongside his childhood friend Mina Ashiro. So she's like one of the top captains in the group in
Mm-hmm.
the organization. But because he failed so many times getting in, he ended up becoming a trainer. So it's like kind of like our age where I haven't achieved my dreams yet. I'm kind of in a similar place as him. Like I'm waiting for that metaphorical kaiju to give me a boost to get me to where I am. Because when he gets that, he ends up in the defense force. But he's still pretty weak in his human form. It's when he transforms where he's like, OP. But it's cool. I hope people check it out, especially for people our age.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. And obviously, since you have a vested interest in it, it'll definitely be back on the show. So yeah, everyone keep an eye out for that. Kaiju number 8. So coming up next, um, I guess kind of sticking in line with anime, Bruce Lee is getting his own anime series, which is like
Excited.
bananas to think about, right? So this comes from his estate, Bruce Lee Entertainment, run by his wife, I believe, um,
His daughter.
his
She
daughter,
she Shannon or Sharon Lee. She created also executive produces Warrior.
Warrior.
So that which makes sense.
Yep,
So she
Shannon
actually
Lee.
created the anime. I don't know. I haven't looked too deep into whether she's writing it, but if she created it, I'm sure she has writing credits. But yeah,
Dude, I can't wait. It looks cool. I like the little art style that it has. It was first revealed on Deadline. The project will launch alongside the 50th anniversary and 4K re-release of Enter the Dragon, which is an intense sentence to read.
I'm
And
definitely gonna read watch that.
and
It's
what I didn't know until I read this article, again on Deadline, it's going back into the theaters, August 13th and 16th. I didn't know that.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna do it.
That's gonna be insane.
It
But
I think that's like my future now. Like anything that hits theaters that I would never have gotten the chance to see in theaters, like Enter the
mhm,
Dragon. Like I remember seeing when I told you I saw Return of the Jedi in theaters. Like that was something that was never gonna happen unless there's an anniversary. So when that drops, I'm definitely gonna see it. Like last week, I saw or 2 weeks ago, I saw Princess Mononoke in
mm,
theaters.
yep.
That was great. It was a great feeling
It's
because it
just
was dubbed.
it's just that movie magic that you can't get, right? Like
Yeah,
it's different seeing, a movie that you like and B a classic movie that like there's just a whole different way to feel about it when you're sitting down in a theater.
yeah.
So, just as a quick snippet of it, House of Lee, which is the title of the anime, is described as an action/fantasy series that sees legendary Bruce Lee assemble a team of dragon warriors to stop the world from plunging into darkness and shadow. The show reportedly takes inspiration from the famous Bruce Lee quote, "Those who are unaware they are walking in darkness will never seek the light." So,
I love that.
it's hitting everything. I'm def like there's no way I'm not watching this thing when it comes out.
And yeah, yeah, and I agree. And that when I saw the images, it reminded me of because they even said it purposely looks like a classic
Yeah.
80s anime like Fist of the North Star or like old classic Dragon Ball. And but
Yep.
it's gonna be done with new animation. So I'm like, I could see that working. I hope it's like very fluid and there's not a lot of like static shots, which I'm
hmm
like, hope that doesn't happen. But I'm sure they're not gonna mess that up. I'm
I
sure that.
feel like it's going like when we get into like the big fight scenes and stuff, it's going to look and feel how Dragon Ball Z felt back then.
I would agree.
Like
So we're talking about Dragon
you're
Ball Z, yes.
yeah, you're drag because Dragon Ball was a little slower paced. It did have some fights that were like, especially in the World Tournament, that were like faster and very fluid.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like you got every frame and you saw the connections of the
yeah,
limbs meet together.
but I'm thinking more so like when you're a kid and your first run through of DBZ, you're watching on Toonami, and it's literally splitting your head in half to see all these things happening. I have a feeling like it's going to capture that emotion with the older looking anime. It's going to have, obviously better animation techniques to now showcase the different types of martial art in a more fast paced way, with an old school look. That's what it looks like, in the quick little teaser. But I'm super excited for this.
Yes.
So, keeping with the trend of anime and Japanese animation, first images from Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli's new movie, The Boy and the Heron, have been released. So, coming from a post from Fandango, I believe, it was promotional material. I'm sure that's not the first place that it actually came out. Oh no, yeah, yep, it is. That's insane that Fandango would be the ones to break
I
this.
can see that because they do them with Fathom events do. They always re-release Studio Ghibli films almost every summer and fall, so I can see that being on Fandango.
Yeah, are they
So
like
to
the
me,
same
it's not a
company?
little weird. I think it's just because there's a lot of like, what's the word? They like do stuff in the same line of work when it comes to promoting
Okay.
and saying. Like I saw when I went to go see Princess Mononoke, there was no like trailers, but there was a lot of trailers for Studio Ghibli films
Yeah.
or anime films, but under Fathom events. I think they just do a lot of things together, and it's just like it's not too surprising to me.
Okay. No, that totally makes sense. So we got four new images for The Boy and the Heron. This is again Hayao Miyazaki's last film. He's supposed to be going into
This is
retirement.
what his third last film.
Yeah, I think so because he did it
I want him to hit two more last films, and then I think I'll be like, okay, now it's enough.
with The Wind Rises when we were in college. Then he went into retirement and then came back out for the next one. I
Cayuga wasn't him though, right?
I don't know. I have
Princess
no idea.
Cayuga. I got you right now.
And then this would be his third last film.
I got you right now.
So anyway, we got these images. There's promotional material. Um, the only other thing that's been shared was back in December. They have like a teaser theatrical poster. Um, so it looks beautiful, keeping in line with like the I guess the level of polish that Studio Ghibli is known for. It looks super cool. One of the images though is so like
It's
so,
creepy, right?
so off-putting. It is a close-up of a heron, and its mouth is open, so you can kind of see like the inside of the beak. So you have the
It's like
teeth.
human teeth.
Yeah, but it's human teeth, and the gum line above the teeth is like grotesque. It looks swollen almost. So it's like, Studio Ghibli has this way of like making scenery look so beautiful, and then like objects and like food and stuff look so enticing, and then giving all this emotion to characters, like human characters and even non-human characters. And then it also simultaneously can make your stomach turn with like weird, like,
It's like specific things that can give you a nightmare.
yeah, it's like weird nightmare fuel. Um, like, some of their transformations are really intense. Some of like their monsters are very like grotesque. Um,
Like, yeah,
Exaggerated proportions, and like it's meant to make you feel some type of way.
yeah.
Um,
Like you mentioned exaggerated proportions. I think of like in Howl's movie Castle when he transforms. It's like it's creepy a little bit. Like it's not scary, but it's a little like it's almost body horror. It kind of skates on that line, and then it's like, no, this was actually pretty. So there's like he was able to play with those two kinds of ideas, and then just let it be fluid. I'm mad that we got that still. I don't know why someone was like let's just choose it. But look, it's smart because it's like it pops. So I can imagine when we're sitting and watching it for the first time, it does like it's a transfer. Because looking at the actual poster for Heron and the boy, right? Or the
the
boy and the
Boy
bear,
and the Heron.
the boy and heron. When you look at the poster, it shows like the birds like with the beak, but then there's
Yeah.
like the eyes, but then right under the beak you see these nice slant eyes. It's kind of human.
Hmm.
So it looks pretty dope. If you ever get the chance to find it, you'll see it looks pretty dope. So I'm wondering why that heron is part human or something like that. So to me, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But it's also creepy seeing that still.
it might be like a mid transformation. It could be like an enchanted person or something. Like, who knows? They included this as a very like, I guess, like on purpose thing. Like, clearly there was like, it was a purposeful
But yeah,
selection.
there was thought into this. They were
Yeah,
just like, yeah, we're gonna do this.
because they kind of hit in these four. They hit everything, right? They have, one with the, I guess, the two main human characters in like a loving embrace. They have another one which is, characters kind of like in the background a little bit, and the rest of it is a great like scenic view of like the sky, some like grass, like it looks like they're in a field with big blue sky in the background with a bunch of clouds. Very beautiful to look at. Then, another one being like these big colorful birds, like it looks like these seabirds almost, but they look really huge, but like I said, all different colors, super fun to look at. And then we get this grotesque like maybe mid transformation hair, and um, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of thought put into this, and I think it hits on all the Studio Ghibli like staples.
I thought you were gonna say cylinders, but yes. Um, I think the word you were looking for was intentional because it was. I was like, oh, why can't I get
That
like
was the
intentional?
freaking word. Yes,
And
intentional.
yeah, because I saw you struggling with it. I was like, I know the word too. That's it. Uh, and then going back, it is his second last film because
Oh,
all
so
the
the one
films
in
in
between
between,
was not
yeah,
him.
all the betweens were done by either you got Takahata, who's done like a lot of stuff, and then there was the one called the Red Turtle, but I don't remember. And then Earwig and the Witch was one of the last ones I was thinking was
Hmm.
3D. That wasn't him. So this is his second last film.
Oh, I thought that one was him.
So he needs to just do three more for me, and I'll be okay.
Three more last films.
Yes, called it here first.
Okay, so now moving off of that, last piece of, I mean, I guess not last one. We got one more after this. So more movie news. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is now officially on Disney Plus, joining the rest of the Spider-Man crew, um, outside of the Tom Holland movies. Well, we still don't have 2 and 3, but Homecoming is on there.
Got it. I'm gonna
Uh,
watch that again there. I miss it.
but now we have all the other ones because all the Tobys are on there now, all the Garfields, and now we're just waiting for Tom Holland's to come over. But yeah, as of August 11th, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is now available on Disney Plus to watch, just in case anyone was yearning
And I
for
think it
that.
makes Yeah, and I think it makes sense too. Like, you know how like with Netflix they would have like these random deals, and then until the license runs out, it makes sense to put it on Disney than anywhere else
Oh
because
yeah.
it's like, why not put it there? And then yes, Sony's definitely getting a cut, but why not?
And I mean also it only does them justice to like figure that out, because
Yeah,
now these rumors of Amazing Spider-Man 3 happening, like with Andrew Garfield, like they're more rampant than ever. A lot of them started coming up with at the end of MCU Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3. Oh my goodness. Far From Home, No Way Home, right?
no way home.
No Way
Yeah,
Home, the third one. After that, everyone was kind of rumoring like, oh, could he come back? We finally saw him have a little bit of redemption. But now Tom Holland, I forgot what exactly that he said, but he's open to reprising his character, like his run at the webhead. So it would be pretty
Tom
cool.
Holland, or you said Tom
No,
Holland?
Andrew Garfield. Sorry.
Yeah,
He's open to reprising his role, and now in the world of multiverses that we have in cinema, it's not something that's impossible.
yeah. No, no, that's 100% true. Honestly, I can see kind of like to and I don't like to like create ideas anymore because Hollywood will never care unless they kind of like nitpicked found their way um into our channel. Um, I can see Andrew Garfield being in the same, or rather Venom being in the same world as Andrew Garfield's, because uh, he Venom doesn't take place in New York, and
Yeah.
he can go to New York and encounter that version, kind of keeping it in line with Sony. Like they don't have to make another universe to keep them separate. Uh, and then you can have your like true Venom in a sense. But then that's just me. That I'm like, I would like to see the spider logo on Venom instead of all these white lines that are just pulsating through the body. Which again, the whole design looks dope. But if you can just have like a kind of something to stare at, because like
Yeah.
it's something that just looks really good on screen like that. It's one of the reasons why what's his name, wow, the creator of Venom,
Todd McFarlane.
yes, it's one of the reasons why he was like, I can't just do away with the suit. He's like, let's keep the black suit, and then create Venom. So I want to see that come back, but specifically the logo, and not do a bad job with another Venom. But again, Sony's on their weird stuff with White Panther. So, and the reason I say White Panther, look it up. You see why I said that. But yes, going back to the Disney Plus thing, that's dope. I'm hyped to see it. One of these days, when I have the time, I will watch all three Toby's, watch Amazing Spider-Man 1, and then go through Spider-Man 2, just Amazing Spider-Man 2, just fast forwarding to the parts I don't care about. But yeah,
Such a good movie that doesn't get enough praise.
it has good parts.
No, it's an entirely good movie that
You,
has some parts that bring it down.
good, nice way to see the half glass full. But anywho, I'm excited that that's it. That means they're continuing their thing. I hope the licensing doesn't expire like a domino effect. I hope they expire all at once because I don't want to be like, hey, I'm gonna go start watching Tobey Maguire, the first one,
Yeah.
and then that's like gone, but I only have part two. I'm like, oh, okay, now I gotta wait a whole another cycle.
I mean, I hope that they they have it to where it's only like it's a Disney Plus exclusive for like eternity. You know what I mean? Because at this point,
I would that's hoping. That's hoping.
yeah, it wouldn't make sense for them to work so hard to get all these things for it to like only be for whatever licensing cycle. Like same thing with like the Incredible Hulk. Like, how long did it take Disney to get that back? And finally it's back. It's under the Disney umbrella. It's on Disney Plus, and like like all of that
Yeah,
going away
and it's
would
just like
suck.
it's just this thing where Sony is like, and look at the base of it, it's greed, but it's like I wouldn't give it up. I wouldn't give up Spider Man if I had control over it. I get it. I
Hmm.
get it. That's your moneymaker. I'm gonna leave it at that.
So speaking about Spider-Man moneymakers and people
Yeah, I got
not
Spider Man on your wall right there too. Like, come on.
and here
I
and
was about
there
to point at that one, but I'm like, that's Deadpool. He fell.
and there. Yeah, he fell back. Um, but speaking about Spider-Man making a lot of money and some fans being upset, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is finally available digitally, but they have officially made a decision as to which version of the movie is the quote unquote correct version, right? So in the movie theaters when it was released, there were two versions, very minuscule differences, but there were two of them. With with the digital release to to buy and rent, they have narrowed it down to one. So the only thing, and this is literally like making waves throughout the internet, people are upset. So the only thing that was cut, like with this version, is one line that Miles says. So when he's like going up against Spider-Man 2099 and they're doing like the big fight and all that, um, there's one moment where he says, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing," and I believe it was in the trailer as well. He says, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing," and
I don't
says,
remember that
then he
in the
says,
trailer.
"I'm going home." They cut out the going home. They kept the "I'm doing my own thing," but they cut out "I'm going home." So that's the line that people are like freaking out about. So
I think it's just there's context to it.
it's just like, but
I don't
what
know.
does it
I'm not.
matter?
I don't like mad. Like that's a strong emotion. Annoyed, yes, but mad where you have to type it up on Twitter and get other people riled up. I think that's a little bit much. I'm just trying to think of the whole context of things. I don't want no spoilers, but I'm thinking of the scene where he's just like, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing." Um,
Like that's still in the movie though. Like that's a pretty pivotal moment, and that's there.
but I guess because the thing is, if you're okay now that I'm thinking about it, if you're watching the movie and he says, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing," but the thing is, if you've seen the movie, I think it's just gonna. I think it'll just be annoying. I've only seen the movie twice. If I saw it again now, I probably would have been like, "Oh, okay." Like it would have went over my head. It would have went over
Mhm.
my head. So, what about you? You think you would have caught that, or
No,
if you did not read? Yeah, if you didn't read any of this,
I 100% would have not caught it. There are a couple of other things that have been altered. Like there's very small like differences in animations in different scenes. There's other lines that have been cut, but literally like one word like things have been cut. So it was just, to kind of play up this whole multiverse thing, and like there are different branching timelines and all that. So that was the reason why those two were released, and it took a while for the fans to figure it out. But like it just is like, who cares? Like, to me, like there's like this one is like, I don't know, like it's like, I think the exact, hold on, I have the exact line here. He says, where did it go? Where did it go? Here it is. He says, "Sorry, man, I'm going home." They cut that out. They also cut out um when Gwen thinks that Miles gets crushed, she like, mumbles a couple words because she's panicked. Like they cut out her mumbling, but like she's still in the scene, panicked. Like she's still doing that with her body. Like you could see the body
I
language and
think, yeah, I think
the
it's one of those
context.
things that people are nitpicking. Like,
Yeah,
again, if it doesn't take away from the same situation, obviously some depending on the dialogue, it does elevate the emotion or the situation, but I don't think it should. Again, this shouldn't make people mad. It should make people
yeah,
annoyed where you keep it to yourself or you share it with your best friend. Bringing it to the internet. And look, a lot of people are sticklers for this, but these are the same type of people that like have that same energy where it's like, the same people that change someone's like gender or color and they just bring it to the internet. I was like, those are two different things to get mad about.
yeah.
So I think you're bringing the same energy to this. It's a little much.
Yeah, it's just, it's weird. Like, some people are saying that the movie feels incomplete. Like these are not, like, they didn't cut out a full scene. You know what I mean? Like there's little tiny things that are altered because that's how it was in the theaters. Like clearly there was always one, like, let's just call it like the proto version, like that's the prime one, and then there was another one, and it was just a fun thing that they did. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just like, this is weird. Like for people to be like, oh, I don't even want this bootleg, like, hand me down version. Or some people are like, oh, hopefully the Blu-ray release has like both versions. Like, I hope it doesn't. I hope they stick with their guns, and I hope they keep the one version, because like, as a fellow like nerd, I feel like too many people, like, in the nerd zeitgeist, get angry about dumb stuff like this, and it takes away from it. Like this was a beautiful, fantastic piece of art cinema, and you're gonna complain because a couple, literally a handful of words were taken out throughout a two and a half
Yeah.
hour movie. Like,
The
come on.
worst thing that could have happened is just like, hey, we're not gonna make any more of these movies. Now you're left with this cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Like it's either that or you complain about a few handful of phrases. So
like
I'd
just be
rather take
happy.
that. Yeah, like it's there's other things that I can complain about right now, but it's just like I'm not even gonna address it because that kind of feeds into it. Because now I'm getting annoyed that people are getting mad about something that's not a big deal.
Yeah, man, it's weird. But anyway, keeping on topic with the multiverses, right? With that we all, I guess, know and enjoy now. Rick and Morty season 7 has a teaser.
Another one, another one. We're gonna do this again. You and me, Morty. Yeah. So Rick and Morty is coming back. They're announcing the premiere date next week,
Mhm.
but there was a nice little recap trailer of the entire series of. But it's just they kind of like propped it up to be a Rick versus Rick Prime. If you're not following the show, oh man, just get on it now. It is ridiculous, but it has its moments. The one thing I love about this show, and this is from my perspective, like I didn't grow up much with like Adult Swim shows like the Robot Chickens and stuff like that. But this is the one show that got me to stay because everyone was in on it. Because everyone's talked about Robot Chickens,
Yeah.
but I didn't really care for much for it. But this one was I dug the animation and I liked the idea, and also like reminded me of Back to the Future. Obviously, if you
Oh
know
well,
what I'm
yeah.
talking about, it's same, same
It's
thing.
definitely on purpose. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I got into it. It plays with the emotions. Happy, sad. I don't think I've ever been mad at the show. I've just been either happy or sad or just laughing. It's one of those two, and it bounces back and forth very well. But with this, if you not to get into heavy spoilers, our main Rick, the one that we watched on the show, is chasing another version of Rick, like his like true nemesis. Like there's also a council of Ricks that don't like our Rick, but then this Rick doesn't care for that Rick because that Rick kind of like killed his wife and daughter. And if
Well,
that gets
he
confusing,
he also our Rick C-137 Rick killed the
thank you.
Council of Ricks that doesn't like him.
Yes, that happened like season four,
Or
4 or 5. I want to say yeah, yeah. So
it's
it's
a
for
lot.
season 4. It's a lot, and if that gets confusing on the fact that his daughter died, you gotta watch it. I can't tell you if his daughter is real or not because there's also two versions of his daughter that we don't know. It's a whole thing. So
Talking about, I feel like that was the first kickoff in like I don't know the whatchamacallit, like it in like the nerd zeitgeist. I think that was the first kickoff of like multi universes, right? Like a multiverse,
yeah,
because there's branching universes. They talk about it, they introduce it in a pretty easy way to digest, and then they have fun hopping between the different universes throughout, all the seasons. And yeah, this is the first, I think it's the first exposure, I guess, quote unquote, normal audiences had, before like we got into like the MCU stuff and DC and all that other crap. Um,
yeah.
Definitely not before the comics, obviously, because those were the true first ones.
Those were the original multiverses.
But yeah,
I agree.
yeah, that was like the first time, I guess.
I just wanted to shout out Pop Culture Galaxy. His name is Mark. He's a fellow writer here. He just hopped on. Appreciate it for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you. Always love to see people jumping in the chat. Remember, just a little PSA: if you're listening to us, we always stream live on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on Twitch.tv/ The Average Jays.
Yeah. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Tell people that you don't even like. Throw an insult at them, and then tell them to go watch us, and maybe they'll show up. We want
Yeah,
those
just
people
talk.
too.
And then it'll be like the circle of screaming. They'll scream at us,
Exactly.
sending them to you.
Um. So last bit of TV movie news, also in the vein of screaming, I guess. I was very upset when I heard this, but there has been some issues with the. I wouldn't call it cult classic. It was a pretty big, like blockbuster, The Blind Side. So Michael Orr, who is the subject of the, I guess, biopic movie, The Blind Side, it revolves around his adoption, like by the Tooley family. They adopt him. He in the movie he was on the streets, and like they took him in, and he ends up going to college, and then spoiler alert, he plays for the Baltimore Ravens in real life.
Okay. I never saw that.
Um, so what happened was he recently found out that he actually was never adopted by the Tooley family, and instead he was tricked into a conservatorship. So with that conservatorship, they had all the rights to like his story, and they didn't have to give him any cut of the movie or anything like that. So The
Wow.
Blind Side was originally a book, and then it got adapted into a movie, and apparently he saw no royalties from either one of those, and they were made in part with the Tooley family. So
Wow.
I forgot their names, but it's the mother and father. Um, yeah, and they exaggerated his upbringing. Apparently, before they took him in, he actually was already on track to be a D1 athlete. If you watch the movie or read the book, the whole thing is that he's like, his mom's a crack addict. He goes from couch to couch, and then he gets forced out of his friend's house. Um, and then he ends up sleeping in the school gym, and that's where the Toolies find him, and they adopt him as their own. So, and then they cultivate his athleticism, and they bring him up and all that. The weird thing being is, in the film and in the book, one of the situations that he gets into is, and I don't know if this is real or not, but one of the scenes is that he gets brought in front of the NCAA, and they do an interview because they're like, hey, we know that some people will adopt young black men with athletic talent and then use them to become like rich and famous.
Yeah.
Um, and that was a thing that he had to go through in the movie. It was like, you know, he had to go through an interview and they were like, hey, do you think that these people just got you because, you know, they wanted you to go to their alma mater and, you know, they always make donations there. So they wanted to see the school win, like all that kind of stuff. And, you know, he ends up being like, no, I went to this school because my family went to this school and that's why I was there. And it made the movie very touching, but now it
And it's also you got Sandy Bullock, so I'm like, yo, I'll
exactly.
I'll watch anything she's in. So
And I
yeah, and
loved
that's
that movie.
because you for someone who hasn't seen the movie, I've just seen the trailers, whatever, and
Mhm.
then hearing the allegations now, and these aren't allegations, these are true.
So it was an investigation that came to a head. It is true the conservatorship,
Okay,
and
so
now
yeah,
he's trying
then
to
now
fight that.
just seeing that now, like if I let's say I did see the movie, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be hard to believe because of Sandy Bullock, like and now I'm thinking Sandra Bullock is a bad person, but it's like I know that's not her,
No,
but
Sandra Bullock is good.
say yeah, Sandra Bullock is good. She went to space. She was a spy and stuff. Anyway, she did a lot of things. But what makes me think you said, and the word you said was conservatorship, makes me think of Britney Spears. I hope people fight for him, and it could be a color thing, or it could be a thing where people don't care because he's a football player and he has money. I don't know the situation on that,
Yeah,
but he should what's owed to him, and that's messed up. Like I think this story is getting traction. Um, we should hear it. It should be on the same pedestal as Britney Spears. I guess when it comes to fame, Britney Spears has more, but I
yeah.
think when it comes to the more eyes on the story, that needs to happen. And the fact that we're talking about it makes it help. Um, he's definitely do is owed what he's owed what he's owed.
He's due what he owes.
He's owed what he's owed.
He's owed what he's owed.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's rough because now looking backwards, like I was saying, you see these things and you see these scenes and you almost wonder like, oh, did they put this in here so that later on they could kind of shield themselves from the allegations? You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
that scene in particular literally talks about um couples like rich white couples adopting African American children or just children of color with athleticism and bringing them like kind of like grooming them for colleges and you know and professional sports. Like they literally talk about that and then lo and behold it seems like that's exactly what they did. So like it's weird. It's a very weird situation. I hope Michael Orr gets to the bottom of it, figures it out. Apparently, you know, he just retired like 2 years ago, I think, and
yeah.
he said that he finally had the time to like hire an investigator and go through all this stuff, and that's when he found out that it really was that he was never adopted and that he was under a conservatorship. Um, so yeah, it's also a really sad thing because to think you were a part of this family and you're really not. Like, and that's the one thing that's like a truth. Like whether or not money story like maybe he didn't agree with it or whatever, he thought that he was a part of a family and at the end of the day he wasn't, and that's a really sad thing. um but yeah, everyone, we will keep you guys updated with how this goes. It's very surprising, especially like I said, I like The Blind Side, the movie, so it kind of sucks now seeing it with this new lens of information.
Yeah.
But we'll stay on top of it. Now, sliding into some new uh topics, right? We're
Yeah.
going into some video game news. Um, the first one up, which is a video game that just, I don't know, never ends at the same time, like never begins. So, first one up, we have some news about GTA 6. Um, there's no information released on GTA 6 what it's going to be because GTA 5 is a never ending cash cow. They make millions upon millions with that game and they, have such a robust online component for it. But news from at least their corroborators So Rockstar is officially working with a modder team. So for those who don't know, modders will modify, that's the word I was looking for,
Yeah.
or modify games in order to accomplish something else. So whether that be like better graphics or weird characters in place of others, um, but specifically this team works on role playing aspects. So they create servers that literally turn GTA into a role playing game rather than this action adventure shooter, right? That we're used to. So 5M is the main host for some of the biggest GTA role playing servers and enjoys thousands of players even 8 years after GTA 5 came out on PC. So that team 5M is the team that Rockstar is now officially working with on development of GTA 6. So that was the announcement that they made uh 4 days ago, August 11th. Yes, 4 days ago. So it's insane to think about it because now that makes me think of, will GTA be more heavily like leaning towards that action RPG, right? Like will we be able to do some more things when it comes to like character customization, like maybe with traits or like special skills, to build out your player even more? That's something I feel like GTA hasn't had in a long time. I mean, the only thing that kind of reminds me of it was in San Andreas, where if you worked out a lot, you got muscular, or if you ate a lot of food, you got fat, and then it
Yeah.
messed up your stats. So, but it
Yeah.
had it had a stat thing as well as like a physical appearance. But it's for GTA 5 online, you make your character however you want. You build your stats as you do certain things. So I guess you can kind of call that RPG stuff, but it's very very light mechanics. But yeah, it's just interesting to see the development of GTA 6 and how it's going. There's some rumors saying that we can even see it next year in 2024.
Hmm.
I mean, Rockstar does typically wait to announce games, and like they're not one to care about delays. So they can announce a game and then not release it for 4 years, or they can announce it and release it in 3 months.
Or just like right then and there. Like that's
Oh
how
yeah.
that's how good Rockstar is. They do whatever they want.
Well, I mean, listen, they're great, but they've come under fire like we covered last week with the Red Dead Redemption 1
Oh yeah, yeah.
re-release, and then also with that GTA
They
trilogy
whatever.
release. So they take it with a grain of salt, but Rockstar usually has their ducks in a row. So hopefully we see some fun news attached with this. I would like to see some real concrete updates.
Yeah.
So talking about studios and video games, TMNT, so that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin, the I don't know what you want to call it, the mind bending comic arc that came out in 2023. I mean, in 2020, and is lasting until now, 2023. Um, it took people by storm. It hit the ground running. Everyone loved it. It was all about a story of one of the brothers being alive after the other three have died. It's now getting its own video game from the same studio that developed Destroy All Humans. Now, here's the weird thing.
Yes.
The tones for both of those games are so radically different.
Okay.
So Destroy All Humans, you ever play it?
Yeah. But I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, it's incredibly different from
Yeah.
Last Ronin.
I the only reason I don't share your concern, I guess, is because you can think of many games have done that. Like you can look at Jack and Daxter versus Last of Us. Two different things, but same company. So I'm not too bothered by it. I'm just want to know what it looks like, what the gameplay is going to be like. I believe when they first talked about this game coming out, it's going to mimic Ragnarok or God of War or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. If for those who have seen this teaser, it's not. It is a teaser. Like there's nothing.
Yeah, it's
There's
barely
four
anything.
candles. There's
Hmm.
four candles. Every time there's a scene, a candle disappears, which leaves you with one candle out of the four. Obviously, it's the last Ronin slash turtle. Um, I'm not hyped because I didn't see anything. Um, I have nothing against it. I have nothing bad to say. I'm not like, hey, I don't want a video game.
Hmm.
I because it's like you said, it took the world by storm, or like the fandom by storm rather. When it comes to the last Ronin, I'm I'm just curious, wait and see. I'm a wait and see kind of guy right now
I
for the
mean,
game.
I'm excited that it's happening, but I think I'm in that same camp. I'm not like overly hyped for it because we didn't really get anything. This was a teaser of a teaser. Like there was really nothing there. It didn't show anything at all. Um,
It was a
but
prequel teaser.
exactly, it was a prequel teaser. It was a prototype beta version prequel teaser, and it was just like it gave us nothing while still showing images. So I mean, I'm super hyped for it. It's just I don't know. I really want this to be the TMNT game that like hits it. Like I want that God of War Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. Like give me a single person dark TMNT thing. Let me play as all the brothers, like in different flashbacks or something, but have a main story of the last Ronin and really nail that dark rooting aspect because it's it was so good on paper that I would love to have a one-to-one adaptation in a video game. So
Okay.
this is something that I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on. It just looks super cool, like the comic book ones. So I just want that art to come back also. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. No release date has been announced yet. Only thing that we know that it is coming from THQ Nordic, which is the studio, and then or the publisher rather, and the developer being Black Forest Games. Uh, yep, Black Forest Games. So keep an eye out for that. If you love Destroy All Humans, the video games, maybe you'll love The Last Ronin. Maybe The Last Ronin, maybe you'll have a gun that makes people poop their brains out. That was the thing in Destroy All Humans 1.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's funny. Anyone listening will be like, "What?"
So, keeping with the Mutant Ninja Turtles who are teenagers, they have their own costumes now in Street Fighter 6. So, pretty cool. They're very like accurate. They even have the white eyes, very old school Kevin Eastman. Only thing is, you need to pay $55.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of turtle shells.
$55 to get all four skins. And all they are is cosmetic items. So, just in case you're wondering, Street Fighter 6 has a $70 price tag. So, you pretty much have to buy this game twice just to get the four turtle costumes.
I have
Right.
nothing to say to that. It's just, come on. I get it, the turtle craze, but I don't get the fact that I gotta pay that much money.
Dude, $15 per costume. And it's for the online component to your avatar that walks around the hub and that you can fight with and all that. But
I guess.
$15 per costume.
That's lunch.
Dude, it's so ridiculous. Like it's absolutely ridiculous to see, you know. I could understand even $5 a costume. That seems like a lot. But I can understand $20 for the set of four. Fine. I'll do that. But
Yeah.
it's just rough, man.
Greed, bro. Greed.
Yeah. It's all it
It's
is.
in everything. It's in everything. I can't even enjoy the game.
Yeah, like that kind
I
of
get
stuff.
it and
Like,
be like, oh, I would have to play $55 worth of game time to just be like, all right, I got my use of it. Like I,
yeah, it's like it, and that's the other thing, right? For hardcore players, paying another $55 might actually, in the long run, be worth it because if that's your main game, like you're gonna be pouring hours and hours into it. For a casual fan plus a fan of TMNT, like it doesn't make any sense. Like I want these, but if I just bought this game, booted it up, why do I have to pay another $55 to enjoy this cosmetic item? Like that kind of sucks. Like again, I think it should have been like maybe $10 max, and you get all four of them,
oh yeah,
because the thing is, it's a cosmetic item, which sucks even more. It's like you don't get like, it's not like a,
unless it was like a pass or something, like
or
or
yeah,
something.
season pass.
But like,
Like
I'm
it's
sad.
it's not
Just
like you get weapons and like move sets and all that. It is literally just the costume.
I'm okay.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
that's making me mad right now.
But something that made me happy is I found out, as did the rest of the world, um, another gem from THQ Nordic. South Park is receiving another game, but this time in 3D. And it's going to be called South Park Snow Day. It's a 3D co-op multiplayer game coming to the PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S next year. It's coming 2024. We don't have a release date, just the window of 2024, and it looks exactly what you think a South Park game in 3D would look like. Um, when we talk about Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole, um,
Yeah.
they had that classic South Park 3D, I mean 2D art style. It looked just like an episode of South Park, but this time around they're going 3D. So you got kind of more of like a more like a toy vibe. Like
Okay.
I feel like they look more toy esque, or like model esque, like figures rather than like 3D animated. Like the animations look fluid, and clearly it's gonna follow the same thing because they call you the new kid in the teaser.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be following the new kid that happened in the other two games, which is your created character in both of those games. So it just looks cool. It looks like a beat 'em up type of game. So just with the classic South Park spin. Um, I'm down for it. I enjoyed the last two games. Stick of Truth, I absolutely loved. Um, and then what you were Fractured But Whole, it kind of took a different route with how it played, like in terms of, like it was more of like a tactical RPG, I guess is the word. And but I enjoyed it there too. And now to see this, it's definitely more of like a run and gun kind of free for all thing. In the quick little snippets that we got in the trailer. But yeah, I'm excited to keep an eye on this too. Did you see the teaser by any chance?
No, I have not seen anything. I think my only video game news was The Last Ronin
That's
teaser.
real.
So I'm hearing this for the first time. So
Got you.
that's so
It's
I know
it's
it has a big fan base. So
yeah, yeah, and I mean it's gonna be ever since Matt and Trey, the creators of South Park, they got back involved with how the license is handled, with how these games are made. Like they've been hits. Was it? My goodness, I can't even remember. It wasn't Insomniac that did the other one. Was it EA?
I
No,
can't tell you.
Ubisoft. I'm sorry, Ubisoft did the other one. But then they also had the phone game, which was pretty fun. It was like a card based real time strategy type deal. You collected different characters and then fight off against each other and the computer. So that one's a pretty big money grab there. But yeah, all those games have been like in terms of quality way up there. So we can only expect that this is going to follow the same suit. So, last but not least, another 3D game that's coming. That's actually been a long time in the making, longer than I even thought about until I like started looking for articles and stuff on it. But Harold Halibut, they just released a Game Pass. Well, back in June they released a snippet of it for Game Pass, and now it was brought back up into attention by IGN. They did like a little featured piece on it about 2 days ago, and it
Yeah,
kind of is, resurfacing online all over these places. It's called Harold Halibut. It's a completely stop motion video game, so it's stop motion like claymation. It follows the titular character, Harold Halibut. It is classified as a modern adventure game with a strong focus on storytelling and exploration. Take in the atmosphere and be a part of this utopia turned awry. So, I wanted to bring this up because like it's an indie game. It's taken years for development. Typically, indies do take way more time than AAA games, but
yeah,
every piece of this thing is stop motion animated by hand with
yeah.
clay
It looks
figures.
it looks really good. Yeah,
It looks insane. The quality, like all the movements that you see in like the it's not really a trailer, but I guess an in-depth look. All the movements are super fluid. Everything flows so well. Everyone talks
and the
great. Like,
Kickstarter too,
oh, that I did not know.
right? You said that.
No,
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't.
just like looking up it. Kickstarter alert.
The environments are so cool looking. Like, literally everything about it looks fantastic. Um, but yeah, Harold Halibut. It's something to keep an eye on. It as someone who likes, I guess, lack of better words, good looking stuff. Whenever these like animations or like different games and shows have a particular style that they kind of go hard on, it it makes me take notice, like something like Cuphead a couple years back, right? Cuphead was such a
Yeah,
different style of a game, right? We've had these hard run and gun shooters before. That's not new. What was new is the art style, that 40s, 30s
yeah. It's
rubber
just
hose
like
animation.
inviting styles of for indie games especially, and that's why I say in general when it comes to indie stuff, no matter the platform, that's taken over because it's like again, and I've always used this term to describe DCEU and Marvel, but I say this in general. We've been fed soda for so long, and we're finally getting some wine, and it's like, like this isn't the same bad, and indie is where it's at.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. It's something where it's just so striking it kind of demands your attention, and with the love and care that clearly translates on the screen while you're watching, playing, reading, whatever.
Yeah,
It gives it that extra like that extra emotional attachment, because you can tell it took forever to make it. It has that love and care put into it, so you just attach yourself to it that much more.
oh, that's dope. I'm gonna keep my eye on that one.
Yeah. So we are finally done. I feel like we spoke a lot about a lot of different stuff, but we went through the docket, and now we're going to hit our weekly wrap. So Jay,
Before the weekly wrap,
oh,
do
excuse
the
me.
word of the day.
Oh, I totally forgot. We started this last week. We got to keep it
Yeah,
going. Word
we
of the
gotta.
day.
Luckily, I was able to finesse this word into this because we want to make it germane to the topic.
mm,
Um, so the word of the day is called plaudit.
Plaudit?
Plaud it, like applaud, plaud it,
Hmm.
which kind of makes sense. An enthusiastic expression of approval. And how do I tie that back to our docket? We felt that way. We plotted a lot of the anime stuff. I think everything in our TV and movie news, we plotted all of it except the blindside stuff. I'm sure the family applauded the guy's athletic skills, but we don't applaud it that those stuff. Um,
So is it a
but yeah,
verb? Plaudit?
it's a noun.
It's a
So no,
noun.
no, I'm using it as a verb. I shouldn't use it as a verb. It is a noun.
Okay.
Uh, but yes, applaud it. An
Plaudit.
enthusiastic expression of approval.
So how do you use it in a sentence?
So let's see. I'm trying to think. Applaudation. Um, I was trying to think of how I would use it for this. Let me just use a. I'm just going to use one here. Here I found one. Examples. The novel received numerous plaudits from critics, praising the
Hmm.
author's unique writing style.
Okay. I dig. I dig. Plaudit.
Yeah. So we give plaudits to the anime stuff that we spoke about.
We give them plaudits. That's a nice word. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and use
So
that.
the way to remember it is like kind of like applaud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a nice. This is why English is dumb. So I couldn't say I praise this stuff. I applaud. I guess applauded is the word, but you can't. And I sometimes I tend to do that. I'll like take adjectives and nouns and just verbanize them, verbanize them.
Verbanize, verbify.
We make our words own words here. When you come to the Average J podcast, you'll learn new words like genuosity, which I still haven't looked up
Genuosity.
yet.
It's not a real word, but we made it a real word. Um.
But yes, okay. So
So reading,
coming up a
watching, and
week.
playing, or watching, reading, playing. Go.
So watching, what was this week? Did say I saw this last week. Wow, I feel like I haven't been watching anything, especially when I've been like off for like a week. I've been just
Mm.
Seinfeld, One Piece, like playing in the background. Uh, Trying to go through all like my stuff, like Disney. I did. I kind of went back to my like night stuff. I watched Gargoyles at one point. Watched an episode of Bleach. Uh, but Warrior's been my like staple. Me and the missus watching Warrior. Uh, Season 3 is pretty good so far. Um, we spoke about it earlier, or briefly mentioned it with Bruce Lee's anime coming out. If you hype for Bruce Lee in general, Warrior is like the show. I always talk about it. People should check it out. Reading, I have to like kind of do a deep dive. So right now, I just started reading, but it kind of reminds me of Scott Snyder's works. Um, I'm sure you've heard it. It's called "Something Is Killing the Children." It's something that
Yeah.
people have been talking about for a long time. It's just now I'm like, let me just get on it. Written by James Tinian. Oh, sorry, Tynan. I believe that's how he pronounces it. Um, if you don't know his work is very familiar in the Batman series because after Scott Snyder's issues, I think he would write other short stories after the issue is done. So that's where I knew of James's work. But this story, Something's Killing Children, is his work. And I just started reading the first of it, and it reminded me of Scott Snyder's Witches. If you ever read Witches, pretty good work. Um, Someone recently asked me. I got interviewed for like my projects and stuff and my writings. I If I had to choose my favorite writer, and I think Scott Snyder comes up a lot because I think I kind of have a similar. I don't want to say style, but like, or I get not relate, but I kind of gravitate towards his dark romantic writing,
Hmm.
or creepy writing because he can get creepy and it works. There's something romantic about it. That's how I describe it. Someone may describe it differently, but I am reading Killing the Children. Reading anything else? I don't think so. It's just Kaiju number 8 here and there. One Piece every week, which was on a break this past week. Um, and then playing. I barely played Final Fantasy. I've just been running errands always, so I haven't been playing anything. The last thing I can say I genuinely played was with you and Andrea playing Mario Kart, which was fun.
Yeah.
But we just caught up basically, which again, still fun. But yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Um, so for me, I guess the big one out of that, for watching for sure, I saw Mutant Mayhem. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem over the weekend. Um, we will definitely be doing a full spoiler cast probably sometime this week. Um,
Yeah.
so keep an eye out for that. But initial reactions, I dug the adaptation. If you're going into this thinking it's going to be classic Kevin Eastman, it's not.
Oh, also just mention Peter Laird because he is
Oh,
co-creator.
and Peter Laird, absolutely. They are co-creators. Um if you think it's going to be that, it is not. So I saw some people getting like super heated, which was like pretty upsetting to see in a fandom like this, but it's such a good take.
He did about what? And we can go into this for long. I kind of want to like
So
kind
I
of the whole
saw
point of this wrap up, but I kind of what are the heated
I
moments?
saw one guy that actually I've been following for years, and I actually had to unfollow because of I just didn't love how he reacted his
Anything?
to his like review of it. Um,
Oh,
it just was like, ah, man, like why do you have to like get like that? And it had nothing to do with, unfortunately, like, the more obvious things that some people get upset at, which is, minority driven leads. So, and it wasn't even that. He got upset with the departure of the story because this is a very different take on the turtles, like completely.
why would it's like why have the same thing? We got that with the Michael Bay produced, not directed, Michael Bay produced version, and that was trash. And I say that I don't say trash all the time for a lot of movies. But unfortunately, I will say it's trash. It had its moments, but it was trash.
Those were bad movies that had good moments. Like
Oh yeah,
bringing it back to Amazing.
glass empty.
Yeah, those are
You're
actual bad movies.
But I don't, and I'm, we've had this conversation. I don't think The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a bad movie. I just
It's not.
didn't care for it.
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
So anyway,
yeah. So
um,
he was just
yeah. So he kind of like flipped out and was like, "Oh, you know, if they if they," and I didn't understand it, but what I'm not even gonna give it any more breath
yeah.
to it. But and then I saw a couple other people that mimicked the same sentiments, but obviously not in such an intense way. And in my head, it was like, while there were some things I didn't technically like, I guess, love, most of the movie was amazing. I really liked it. I liked the turtles. I loved their
We outside.
yeah,
Hey,
like
that
stupid
was one
stuff
of my
like
favorite
that.
parts.
Like
I'm gonna leave it at that.
I loved their interactions and the chemistry clearly. And Seth Rogen had mentioned this too. He put the four kids in a room, and kids, I mean, they're teenagers. He put them in the room while recording and let them riff. A lot of these lines and like their scenes where they're all talking to each other were
It's
improvised.
improv. It's
Yeah.
improv, but like I don't want to say like without knowing, but knowing. So
Yeah.
that's pretty dope.
It was like a scheduled improv, I guess. They gave them the scenario and they just kind of let them go. And because of that, you get this
It
real
was a
connection.
real
It's
genuine
Yeah,
thing.
it's
Yeah.
genuinely how people would talk. It's not a forced familial
That's
connection.
why
It's real.
the we outside thing and the year thing worked. Because that could have been really bad.
Yeah, that could have been super
It could have.
forced, but it
And
wasn't.
it's one of those things when it happened in the theaters, I laughed and I loved it because I'm like, I'm a New Yorker and I hear that all the time in the
Mm-hmm.
streets. I don't say that way. Like I would say it jokingly or what's the word I'm looking for?
Facetiously.
That is the more smart word, the smart particles coming out. But I wanted to say that. Uh Joe, I would say that ironically or as well, but I don't use that word, but I hear people saying it sometimes. It was just dope. And I
It was
liked it.
fun.
And it was different. Now, like my favorite, my staple. Look, I grew up on the 2003 version. Again, I don't want to get stay on this too long. We grew up on the
Mhm.
2003 version. We've seen the 80s versions when we were younger, but my staple is the 2012 version because it kind of connects
Mm-hmm.
everything and like literally all of
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Turtle fandom or Ninja Turtles as a whole. So that's why I love that version, but it's also a good series. The new the 2000, the new one, the 2021, I guess, right? 2020. I'm gonna say
Maybe
2020.
it's
The
Rise,
two,
Rise of Teenage
yeah, so
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
like I hear good things about it. It's not my take. I've considered watching it because of the anime. Like the movie, I've heard good things about because
Hmm.
remember, you know how like Netflix gives that like quick trailer when you like
Yeah.
hover over it. Like there was something that Michelangelo and Leonardo do, and I was like, that's an anime move. Like it's very
Hmm.
like, and you know, I will watch it. I will. It's kind of one of those things where we've gone through this with Rebels. Like we were like, Rebels is trash, and we come to find out Rebels is actually really good. So
I
then
didn't do that.
shut up.
I was on
Shut up.
Rebels from day
You're trying to
one.
throw me on the bus because I threw you on the bus. Shut up. Anyways, I'm considering watching it because I will sacrifice like my like I don't want to say disdain. That's too strong of a word, but by not liking the show
Hmm.
before that good animation. I love animation. I will check it out. I may consider. I know the show is not going to be on par with the movie, but I don't think I need to watch the show to watch the movie. But I don't know. I have to figure it out. But my staple 2012, this version was a complete, I don't want to say complete deviation. It deviates on how they became turtles, but it works. And look, they answered my question. Remember when my quick complaint about like Splinter with the Jerry curls?
Yeah.
Like it worked. And I was like, okay.
It was
And
fun.
just those, there was no, it's not like he had Jerry curls, it was like a flashback. So it was a fun thing.
There was
Um,
some stuff. I mean, like
and Jackie Chan was perfect.
he was the perfect Splinter. Oh, the scene where he finally gets to fight is
That was
like
Jackie Chan.
it was Jackie Chan fighting, and it was like
Yeah.
you had told me. It's literally just watching a Jackie Chan fight scene, but rendered as a rat in like 3D animation. It was so well done, and it
Yeah.
even gave off like slight Last Ronin vibes because he fights with all of the sun's weapons, and I thought that
Yeah,
was
I
super
think
cool.
I thought I to me it's a reach, but I saw that as a nod.
Yeah, it was a nod. Yeah, so it was just fun because you get to see that he trained his sons, so clearly he would know how to use all these weapons.
Well, he trained his
You
sons,
know,
but it's funny for
so
those who
it's
watch the
cool.
sons.
And then that fight in itself was very improvised because that's how Jackie Chan's fights. He's very like atmospheric. Like he uses his surroundings. He takes stuff and like hits people with it and knocks people into each other. You even get the classic like Jackie Chan is famous for like throwing a punch and then like shaking his hand because it hurts. He does the thing with like his back. He hits it and then he has to get up and kind of like you know portray that it's hurting. Um, but yeah, that was super cool. The origin of the mutants plural I thought was fun. It worked. Um, Although it wasn't what we were traditionally used to, it still kind of kept that same thread. TCRI is involved. Like there is like that commonality there. Um,
The world building is already there, especially if you know the world. Um, because I think we you had the question. It's like Maya Rudolph's character was like, why did they
yeah.
introduce the Utrom? It's like, is it the like if you know the world, it's like okay, there's a bigger world, obviously, because it's Ninja
Mhm.
Turtles. And again, with this whole movie, Seth Rogen knows the story. Like he knows Ninja Turtles. Like the way I know Ninja Turtles, and I'm able to write
Mhm.
my own stories. He's able to do it too, and that's what I love. Like I
Yeah.
didn't like the idea when like Michael Bay was like gonna make them aliens. Like it was like a whole thing, and it's like no, stay true to it. Don't deviate that much. You deviate, but don't deviate that much. Like I can see. Actually, they'll get into spoiler territory. I'll save that for then. But I can see future movies and shows, which again Paramount, which we talked about.
Mhm.
I can see them doing a great job,
Oh yeah.
especially if you got Seth Rogen behind it.
Yeah, that all in all, I would probably, I would definitely want to see this again in the theaters
Definitely see it again. See it
because
again.
there's
That's
like
all it
so much that happens. It's also like I don't know, like a nerd, like I don't even know how to explain it, but it's so fun and self-aware. There's so many references like at breakneck speeds sometimes, like just when they're talking, they bring up so much stuff. All the different hobbies and things that they're into, all the media that they watch because that's all they can do. They live in the sewers. Um, it's fun to kind of hear some of that stuff in the actual movie itself, like different sets and quick glimpses. There's different homages, there's different references to a bunch of different medias. It was fun. It was a really cool time. I enjoyed it for what it was. Like I said, although I didn't agree with everything, I agreed with most things, and I thought it was a great adaptation. Um, One of my favorite things in the whole movie was when they were talking about like who they would want to see, like because they were talking about like how not all humans are bad, and then randomly they're just like, yeah, like
Like
someone's
Drake and
yeah,
all.
someone says Drake, then Beyonce, and then Leo just goes, I would really like to have a champagne brunch with Tom Brady.
Yeah,
That to me was so in character of Leonardo as a young guy, and like it just worked so well. It had me dying. Like, one thing I will say, while in the trailers they had awesome music, that music is featured in the movie at different points, and I felt like the soundtrack was a little lacking when compared to the trailers. Like the
that's what my
trailers
friend said. He's like the score was not great.
Yeah, like the
Not the soundtrack,
trailers
the score.
the trailers set it up where like music was going to take a bigger role in it in the movie. And like I said, while those tracks and stuff were in there, it kind of took a backseat from what the trailers had kind of put in your head. So that's probably my biggest takeaway off of it. But I really loved it. It was a great movie. Um Beyond that, I don't think I'm watching anything new really. One Piece here and there when I have time. Big Bang Theory. Mm, I really think that's it. I've also been like, last week I was super busy with work, so I feel like I didn't really do much. Um, like definitely no reading, and then played Mario Kart um with you and Andrea on Thursday, I think. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the rest of the weekend up until I think yesterday, I was like finishing getting the trophies um for the newer race packs that I didn't get. So I like went through and got like, I think I was missing two trophies in each one of the different leagues. So I went and I did that. I'm still waiting on the next big game to get into. I still have to finish Tears of the Kingdom. I need to go back and do it. But it feels like such a like slog. I'm like dragging my feet.
I every time I see someone build something new on IG, I don't want to get the
Mm,
game because
Yep.
there's so much. Like
It.
someone made a Batmobile. Oh no, it was a low rider.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
and I was like, I don't want to get this game because I'm like, I have to be so creative.
But like the thing is, like with this game is that you don't. You could.
No, no, and I know you don't, but just seeing it makes me feel.
It puts that added pressure.
I feel like very inferior. I'm like,
Like the amount of robots I've seen. I saw someone built like a mini Millennium Falcon. Like it's insane. But yeah, it's a fun game, and I just think I was too over ambitious when I started that and Jedi. But now that I'm done with Jedi, I have to jump into something else. I'm probably gonna get Final Fantasy, but there's also some Nintendo stuff that I need to get. I'm way behind on my Nintendo like exclusives that I have to buy and play. But yeah, I mean, I was playing Mario Kart for a little bit, and beyond that, I haven't really been playing anything else. So I think that's it. We can round it out there.
yep,
We're done with this one. We are going to do, for those watching us on twitch.tv/ the average chase, we are going to be doing an after dark. So
that's cool.
just give us about 5 minutes. We're going to put the hold screen on, and then we'll come back for the after dark. You two can sit in and interact with us every day, Tuesday 9 p. Every week, not every day. Every week, Tuesday 9 p.m. Uh, so yeah, we'll be right back for that. For everyone else, um, thank you for I had like a quick little brain fart, but thank you for tuning in. As always, you can reach us at Instagram, the Average Days Podcast. We have officially kind of moved away from Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, but you can interact with us there on Instagram. We're always available, and if our contest winner is listening, I know I still haven't sent out your comic books. Don't worry, I will. I will be contacting you again through Instagram to give you the confirmation. I just got a little busy over the weekend, but they are on the way, I promise. Um
Nice.
but yeah, so you can contact us and find out all the updates about the show on Instagram. And I think that's it. Thank you guys for listening in. As always, I'm Jay Justin Ruiz,
And I'm Jay, Jeremiah Francois.
and stay tuned for After Dark. We'll be right back.